G'day, everybody. I want to talk about a theory that I could be going through and a person that these tarot readers talk about all the time. So it's going to go perfect with the research and the communication I'm trying with these such entities, these tarot readers. We can call people entities. Every being has a soul, which is an entity, right? And that can be released around. And that's all religious stuff anyway, if you ever want to be smart enough to work all that kind of thing out, or even try to understand that if you don't want to know if it's true or not. But anyway, all the atheists don't have to worry about all that. They can just laugh at that. That's fine because they're just, they don't want to believe that's fine, or they're not intelligent to tell why they don't believe, which there is ones out there, which is cool. They believe in science, right? But then science doesn't explain everything either. You need to mix in things, which a lot of other people talk about. But anyway, that's all for people who are learners who learn all the way through the life and get to those end theories. The people before then either believe the theories or they can research themselves. But a lot of these theories you'll never understand properly until you do a lot of years research. Is why we have a lot of these people who in certain positions who do these things. But imagine a cool ass, one of God's children can do all these things, and and we talk about stories all the time too, how they can already be a person and then they just need to be upgraded, kind of thing. Like when it comes to my dancing, right, people, I used to go to discos all the time when I was a kid. I used to do a lot of dancing and a lot of private dancing, and it was a thing I wanted to do but never got into it. One of those kind of stories. And I also wanted to get into checking out religion more into the future, and I have been talking about it for a long time, and I've had people come and knocking on my door if they're still around in this town, who are Jehovah's Witnesses and other people like that. And I never knocked them back. I was never one of those people going, "Go away, you fucking Catholic idiots." I've never done that, even though I've heard a lot of people do things like that, and they do it to salesmen too. I might have had a sticker on the door about don't want salesmen knocking, which is the polite thing to do if you really don't want anyone knocking on your door. But if they knocked, I'd politely tell them that I don't want their assistance. They can be pretty naggy, some of them, but I'd always politely go, no, 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 and in the end say no and just shut the doors as politely as you can be for a person that doesn't shut up. But imagine so, these rich people, right, who ruin our world, in my opinion, right, they're one of the biggest percentage because they've got all the money that can fix problems. So to me, they're on the top rank of the worst type of people. And I'm not saying every single one of them is. It's just most of them are because obviously you're not collectively sorting things out. But anyway, imagine one of these people with money, find a person that, and this person started getting into spiritual stuff. So he's even right into it because he's already done the church he runs and the stories and that, and he's got his theories about that, and he's got his theories about what he thinks is fake and what is good uh, advice and all that kind of stuff. And now he's moved on to these tarot cards. And tarot cards, and everyone knows, and when you look up the history of tarot cards, they all class as an evil thing because it's never really been explained, and anything that was involved with it has got nothing but bad stories. And so, with all that, doesn't mean it is bad, right, people, when it comes to the truth. But high probability it is when it comes to science because it's already been bad for so long. But it doesn't mean nothing can change. So that's my theory, is why I check this out. And once I know it can't change, which I'm getting to in a lot of certain groups I've been checking out, and you've tried your best that you can at that time, and all it's doing is frustrating you, like it did to me in certain things, is it's best to either just listen, back out, watch, or don't care about it, which is what you'll slowly do. You can't usually do it something straight away. Definitely to something that you wanted to help, that you really truly wanted to help. It's like a love, but it's not real love. It's just like you wish that such a group would do better. You'd wish better for them, and so you try a lot. People with heart can explain this a lot. It's hard to explain. Not everyone gets this feeling. You might remember it more when you're a kid, because when you're a kid, you're more truthful and more learning and want to find out, and you wanted to find out as a kid. And we get told the truths that we, unless you get the manipulating ones from certain people, and that, but you get mostly told at school the truths of what they want to tell you to learn. Right? And that's how we learn. And we can get told a lot of false and believe a lot of false until we know better or want to know better as well. But imagine me in my case, because you look at my story I put up on YouTube, people, about, and I don't know what is going on behind the scenes when it comes to the post I put up about people. I do not know. No one's ever come and confronted me, because if they did, I'd post it up. There's nothing I'm hiding. Said that's me, right? And that's why I'm willing to go as far as I'm going. And if I get locked up, I can talk about my point. When I'm locked up, it'd be sad to go through all that, and it would be a good thing for me, and it would make my path quicker. Either it's things that slow down my path. But if there are things that you can't stop, and you've tried your best in the peaceful way of trying to get things across, and the best way to try to get things across in a peaceful way too, definitely if you're talking about people controlling and stuff, and a lot of things when it comes to controlling it in this world is to do with money. So if you can't prove freedom on a place, you can at least prove to that point if you have to die for it, which is a lot of people have done before, like Jesus. If you can't prove that you can't speak your freedom and your truth, and you know your truth is right, and they don't even want to use science or anything to talk their truth. So you're telling them, as far as they're concerned, your truth is right, even to them through their own science and stuff like that. But they don't want to listen. You can't do much with that. But these people hold things back, or see what the devil does, the way it's control, is that they will go, well, I'm going to do all this. Like when it comes to debt, so I'll pretend I'm the devil now attacking someone to help you explain. Because to study things is to know how they think, right? And so it doesn't mean I can think it. And our brains too, we think things constantly. And you think a lot of stupid shit because that's your brain processing. And so it doesn't mean you think it. So that's what you got to look at when it comes to anyone can read your minds, and they try to prevent crimes and shit like that because you thought of it. Doesn't mean you're going to do it. That's how paths change all the time. Thoughts, it's there, and then it's like, what are you going to do? Are you going to not do it? Or you're going to do it, or you're going to think about it. You're going to think about it longer. Maybe the more you think about it, the more likely you're going to do it. So maybe you might stop thinking about it. You might start thinking about why you're thinking about it. But all that is your brain processing. It's meant to be private. So when it comes to such mind devices, when it can get into our minds, they'll have to be secured in certain ways, or bad guys will end up using it, and that'll be sad. And more likely to probably be bad guys using such technology, because good guys will keep it a secret or something like that, and then bad guys always find out and get it and then use and abuse it, and the good guys won't do anything with it, right? And then the bad guys, that's what's happened when it comes to the nuclear device, right? It was made with the good guys, and it could have been controlled, but the information got it leaked because people pretend they're good, but they're not really good, and they get infiltrated and all the rest of it. Don't want to get involved with that, but in the end, the bad guys on planet Earth so far in our history of mankind, bad guys, because before then it was just the dinosaurs, as I've explained, and they just were nature, and nature does all right because it's yin and yang, and they actually thrive on that slowly and get changes as nature did without mankind in it. And since mankind's been here, it's only not thrived, and we've lost species. So we're doing quite well, aren't we? Right? And now we've got technology that can do that job quicker. And if we don't wake up and be ready for things and want to do things right, the technology is actually going to make it worse, which is what it's doing. It's putting people in brackets. It's getting people saying, if you're the person who pushes the button, you get to be rich like us, blah, 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 blah. But no one should ever get money by scamming a little bit off another person or knowing information that he don't know, and so you're going to rip him off. But you're going to tell him to put in more money and you're going to be good. Things like that, tricks and scams, and all that kind of thing. If that's happening, then you're not going to get anywhere, really, for real, when it comes to freedom and truth and love. So people want to be real, be real. That's the thing, isn't it? That's what people really need to do, is just be real. Because in the end, we still got the devil here and within us, and in certain amount of people, they just need to go in their little part and maybe see in another part of the world that run a little bit better, that might wake them up. But you know what? A lot of times it just doesn't, does it? And then they come after us, and that's what the balance is, and then we wipe them out, and it's sad. Or the devil wipes out the good people, and then they live their shitty way, and they could have actually even had it even better, and they think they got it even better now, because I was talking about with the spaceship thing, because they got the technology now, but they missed out what they could have had 10 years later, and so on. But anyway, it's us collectively to change, and so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm hoping, because what I did in the last 3 years roughly now is I went, okay, Because definitely if you get to a point where you don't want to live and you think everything's worthless and not making sense and stuff, because that's why you don't want to live, because a lot of things are not making sense anymore and you can't make sense of it, and so you just want it to end. And excuse me, and I feel like it's my throat, I've got to go have a drink. And so we'll go talking about suicide for a second. So that's why that occurs. So the best thing is for me to get out of that was to go to a God test. So I went, all right, now this is when I find out there's a real God. I've already been a pretty decent person that I know of millions. I've never backstabbed people bad or anything since I was a kid. And any lesson I've done, I've admitted it and moved on. I've done bad things and gotten caught, admitted it, moved on, and stopped doing it as well. And so I did the big test now, and I thought, hey, me and Emma, it wasn't good for me and Emma, I'll tell you that. And we cried for a few days and took some shit to get over it. But we decided to go, that's it, let's tell some truths. That's how Emma ended up talking some. And I talked all mine. It even went down to weird things and everything. Anything that you felt was bad, just let us know. Even if you just want to heal it, and we'll talk about it. And we did together, us two talked about all sorts of things. And I thought, if I couldn't get this truth out to God and then still have Emma, or Emma couldn't do the same back to me, then there is no God, right? Because talking the truth does not work. But we got through it, so it worked for us. And I'm still on that test about, well, if I can't do all this, then God, he's no good God, right? Shit. Sorry. Hang on, give me a second. And so, I'm testing him and everyone else about looking at things and doing things right. And I got to a point where I just thought I'd get the police to see if they'll look at something, listen to people, and what would they do? Will they willing to put 10 minutes out of their life, or would they rather just attack and all that kind of stuff? And I'm doing the same thing when it comes to the God. And I want to find out, like, if I put all this truth out and put this out, will I get comments? Will people try? Or will I just get attacked? What would happen? And this is my own test. This is not, I don't put the test on people. Like, I'm willing to take the sacrifices and talk to the end. Is the worst thing about when you go for the test, is to find out. Because like I said, I got to a point where why bother be around? So if this test fails, it just gives me the last outcome, and it leaves me with a point that I could have showed to people, and I tried. Anyway, I thought I'd chuck that out there. Not saying I'm getting blocked at all or anything like that. I'm trying to still make sense of things. All I'm saying is that I've gotten attacked, right? And I must only have fans of bullies. And thank you, fans of bullies. And hearing about tests and they're trying to test me or something, but as far as I'm concerned, all their tests are nothing but backfires, because the best way to test me is to just give me communication. I'm asking to communicate. I dance. I want to know what these fans that are all listening now and have subscribed, they might not be looking or whatever. I don't want to talk all this bullshit because I know what my inner truth has. But all I wanted to have was comments. I didn't want people to talk Chinese whispers and see things and just ignore me. That's not a good outcome. And if you do such a thing to people, it's not a good outcome. It's best to just communicate if you can. Even if you think your communication's lousy, we'll give you a thumbs up. The worst thing I'll do is give you a thumbs up if things are a bit basic communication. And you got to look at other comments too when you comment, and maybe you're getting ignored because this is how I'd just give you a thumbs up, right? So I'm being honest here, is because I've already answered that same question several times, and people might get bored of saying, how was the weather today? And you got to keep answering that. So how I see how a person should answer a fan, and if they want to see an answer from their person they're fanning on, is they got to look back on some comments, definitely if they're going to be basic ones, it doesn't hurt. Or just not, worry about it and be negative that you're not getting answered. But just look back. That's why I didn't get upset for ages. I commented it for a long time and didn't worry about nothing. And then there was a point where I started recording and I'm worrying about why I wasn't getting comments. But the best thing is just to look back. You can always look at different comments and realise that he's probably already answered it, because that's what I'll do. And then yeah, I'll give everyone else a thumbs up, or just ignore it in a way, because we've got other important things to do than to worry about small questions all the time. Small questions are good because they're the way of humans communicating, how we communicate. But there's other good ways of communication too. It's like if you want to get to know someone and they're getting all these questions too, is to look on the questions I've already got and then do maybe a different question, because that's usually what catches people's eyes if you want to get something different, and a question that you know that they might want to relate to or talk about. And try not to have, that question done by a million people, by people just looking over the comments. Because when people don't look over the comments, what can happen is that they might start thinking they're not getting answered, but that's been mentioned a million different times. So I get those comments. But when it comes to mine, that's why I change my comments over time too. Instead of complaining or arguing and stuff like that, I started just doing more questions to see if I can connect. And every question I did too, because I wanted to see if I connect, was I knew the answers, and some of them I decided not to, so I can connect and go, well, I knew most of the answers. I wanted to know if you knew, and then so we can connect. But if you get no communication, all that means is that they don't like you, or they're not there, or they just want to take from you. But have a good one, people. And sooner or later, this YouTube story, even if it goes off, it'll come back on with why it happened. It'll have the story in the end. That's what all life does. Even if I die, I'll make sure that someone hopefully posts this up, or you'll know by the news or something like that. But I'm not going to speak any of that negative crap. But I just like to speak the truth about how I'm dedicated on having an ending on the things I do say, even though there is pause moments, because only one man can do so much. And YouTube ain't that important to me. YouTube was just a spot to try to get my word out. And if I'm not getting my word out, well, I'm not going to be on YouTube, am I? I'll move on. I'll figure something else out. Have a good one. See yous.